These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which as they kiss consume. The sweetest honey is loathsome in his own deliciousness.
Don't fucking move or I'll blow your head off! You hear me?
What's going on, everybody? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, and I'm here again with you guys live. I know we're just a little late on coming in, but it's alright. I'm here with Ted Check, and we have a great show set up for everybody, and some great news as well. What's going on, Ted?
Hey, Eddie. I sincerely apologize. Comcast, if Comcast was a person, I would light it on fire. I had some trouble here, but we're back in action. Yeah.
Back in action.
So, sir. So yeah, ready to do everything here. You know what, Eddie? I'm getting like a reverb thing going on here. Like I can hear a delay. What thing should I?
Oh, it's because you're watching the video live as well, and you got to mute your video that's live.
All right.
You must have our stream running at the same time.
Wow, that is real. That is freaking me out right now. That is like a trip. Hold on. Let me. There we go. I just muted it. Now let me get back to the Skype.
All right. So did you mute it?
There's my ugly mug. Oh my God. Technology is killing me.
So basically,
go ahead,
guys, what we have going on today is we're going to be giving everybody a news update on everything that's been going on in the MMA world. We have good news to go with the bad news. Do you want to start us off with the good news, Ted, in 1 second? But I'm just going to introduce what we're going to be doing as well. Also, we're going to be doing the Dana White quote game, and we're going to be having Monica Franco call in, who's a fighter from down in Hawaii, so I'm looking forward to that. Once again, guys, my apology for the show tonight being a little late. But
no, that's
we got some
me,
good news.
That's
we got some good news for everybody. Ted, do you want to introduce what's going on? What is this good news?
What is the good news?
Ryan Jimmo. They found Ryan Jimmo's.
That is. I mean, it's the best news that we can hope for in a situation like this. A very tragic end to his life. Senseless, absolutely senseless. You know, he had some type of altercation with a couple of guys in Canada.
Yep, in a parking lot.
Yeah, and one of them, you know, took the pussy way out and decided they were going to run him over. Just absolutely pansy ass mofos. And so anyway, they at first police released a they had a surveillance video, not a video. It was a picture of the truck. There was a suspect truck, and now they have 2 arrests. They've arrested 2 guys in connection with the homicide, with Ryan Jimmo's death. So yeah, I mean it's the best that we could have hoped for in a terrible situation. That finally, okay, we've got 2 suspects, and if in fact they are found guilty, they'll be brought to justice, and that's, you know, it's horrible. I mean, 34 years old, Ryan Jimmo. You know, I mean, he had like what 6 fights or so in the UFC.
He had a 7-second knockout in 2012, and then he would do the robot after he'd win, and then.
There you go. Yeah, the robot. Absolutely. I mean, he was really good at that robot. I mean, he was a good fighter. He was a good fighter, and he was a very good robot practitioner as well.
But unfortunately, Ted, it's been a rough year. In the first half of 2016, we lost 6 fighters already. Kevin Randleman, 1. Ryan Jimmo now 2. Kimbo, of course. Jordan Parsons. Carvalho, Blasavina. And, you know, even outside of that, Ali. So that's 7 fighters, whether the name's huge or low.
Combat sports.
It's 7 people who were killed this year in just 6 months.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's tragic, and a lot of them young, young guys. Ryan Jimmo, 34. Randleman, what was he? Mid to late 40s, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, Kimbo, 42 years old.
This is the second fighter now to be hit by a car in a hit and run. Well, wasn't Blasovina involved in a hit and run as well? Like the person was going like 120 miles an hour and they didn't find him till later that night or the next day. I'm pretty sure that's what I remember.
Okay.
But
yeah,
he was a
that.
Bellator fighter. He passed away a couple months ago, and right after that, another fighter died, Jordan Parsons.
Right, and then we talked about this last week, but we had two fighters that were involved in shootouts. I mean,
yeah, yep.
What in the world is going
Shevchenko's
on?
coach, and then who was the other one involved in that shootout? In the other shootout we were talking about.
A guy who I think he was a Dagestani fighter. He was in Bellator. I think it was Shabalaya. Oh, here's another one, and I don't mean this in like. I believe there was another death that didn't. Amar Sulov. He was a Bellator fighter, and I believe he died from cancer but he was a fighter, and then he had turned into he actually descended into he was like an enforcer or a hitman of some type.
Oh, yep.
Amar Sulov.
All right, so we just.
Right, so he died. He died this year as well.
I mean, I'm sorry for starting the show off on such a low subject, but I hope that this cheers everybody up. That now they have found these two people, and they will be brought to court, and justice will be served. Right. So the next thing that we want to get into, and I know everyone's talking about this. This is definitely one of the top subjects, and one of the top things that everyone wanted us to talk about for our opinion on was BJ Penn now is calling out GSP. Have you heard about this, Ted?
It's that old. It reminds me of that old song by was it Billy Squier? Everybody wants you. Everybody wants a piece of GSP, man. Yep. GSP is the money man. I mean, he always was.
He's already fought 2 other times before, and GSP, right. If I'm right, is calling him out at 155, which I definitely don't think is going to happen anytime soon. BJ Penn said, "If you can make 155, I'm free." I don't think that's going to happen. What's your take on this, Ted?
Well, like I was saying, everybody wants a piece of GSP. He's got to be feeling really good about himself. I mean, he's always been a confident guy. But actually, when he lost the title, his confidence took a nosedive, and he had to seek out the help of a sports psychologist to get confidence up. But this has got to just do wonders for his confidence, because BJ Penn wants to fight him. Who else does? Yoel Romero, I think. Nick Diaz. RDA just weighed in on it. I was just reading that today. Rafael dos Anjos also would like to fight his idol GSP. So he's got a lot of options out there.
Well,
it is
also,
just vital.
I like that Nick's calling him out. He's not just calling him out. He's calling him out at a catch weight.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, why does he have to do that? You know what I mean? Just pick a weight and go with it. Why does it have to be? What was the catch weight that he proposed? Was it like 178 or something?
I got to rewatch that video. It was a video that he released when he was talking about it. I got to rewatch it.
It was like between weight and middleweight, right?
Yep.
I think that's what it was. It's like, well, just pick one or the other. Why does it have to be a catch weight?
So that brings us into GSP as well. The GSP talk. GSP calling out Bisping. And everyone's calling Bisping out, it seems like. Anderson Silva just came out calling him out. He released a statement on this. Did you get to see what Silva's statement was? He was saying that he thinks that he deserves this and that he was promised this fight. Did you hear the same thing?
Hey, if it's not down in writing, it's what's a promise? You know what I mean? I mean, a handshake. Did he get it? Was it just verbally? Was it Dana White? Because you can't trust anything, or not many things that come out of Dana White's mouth. A lot of it's just verbal vomit. So if it was a handshake or if it was verbal, he could throw that out the window. if it's not in the contract, if it's not in black and white, I don't know what he's talking about. And we haven't heard anything from White as far as true or false on this one. He's saying, "Oh, I was promised," but yeah, Yoel Romero wants a piece of that. Jacare Souza thinks that he is the rightful #1 contender. Wait. I'm getting mixed up with Rockhold here. There's so many people that want to fight. This is just it's a great day to be an MMA fan.
So yeah, we got everyone's calling Bisping out, and GSP wants to fight Bisping. Do you think that's a good matchup?
GSP versus Bisping?
Yeah.
Sure, because GSP has never fought at 185. He was a welterweight. I mean, from the jump, all the way through his career. As far as I know, he was a welterweight. I mean, he's 5'9", 5'10". So Bisping at 6'2" would just tower over him. So it would be a challenge for GSP.
And everyone's saying though that they really want to see Hendo fight. And this week on Randy Couture's Periscope, I don't know if you guys all have Periscope, but you can find me on Periscope. I usually do live little updates. But on Randy Couture's Periscope, he was hanging out with Dan Hendo and his wife. They're at a club or something drinking.
Yep.
And the chat room was asking him, "What do you think of Bisping?" So Hendo takes his camera and rubs his nuts with it.
I did not see that.
I'll send you the video after. It was hilarious, and you guys can find that on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Hey, hold on 1 second. My son is calling me.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sam. What's going on?
Here, let's cut in on that.
All right, dude, I'm doing my internet show. Are you able to hang out there for a little while? All right, man. All right, I'll call you when I'm done. Or just can you have one of them walk you home? All right, just stay there. Stay there. Okay.
What a good dad.
Am I a bad dad for? I'm doing my show. Why you're calling me?
So yeah, GSP, Bisping, but everyone wants Hendo. I know I did a poll on Twitter, and if you guys are not familiar with who I am or who that is, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA and ProWrestlingAuthority.com. That is Ted Check, the man in the square. We all know who that is. Make sure you check his videos out. He does nice little short videos, keeping everybody updated on the latest news in MMA and in UFC. So now, let's get into the Bellator fights with Rampage, and then right after that, Ted, we have to kind of move along. We have Monica Franco, who actually has she's on a schedule, and we need to get a hold of her within the next 5 to 6 minutes because she needs to get back to training.
That's right. I mean, that's the important thing right here.
So that's
she's
no problem. So let's quickly wrap up the weekend of Rampage and Bellator. Did you get a chance to watch this?
I watched the fight, Rampage versus Ishii.
Ishii, yep.
Ishii Ishii won the first round. Rampage took rounds 2 and 3. So yeah, I agreed with the decision. Although Rampage now with his bad knees and everything, I mean he's kind of a one-trick pony. If you don't stand in front of him, you can get him to the ground, and if you don't stand in front of him, he's not going to be able to knock you out. That's just at 38 years old and with having a lot of wars. That's the Rampage that we have right now.
Also, he's on a 5-fight win streak and 4-0 over there in Bellator, and he did look a little rusty, and he even admitted it. But then again, he's going up against an Olympic grappler, isn't he?
Right. Ishii was a judo. I believe he got a gold medal in the Olympics in judo. The other thing was about this thyroid condition. Rampage says he's got a thyroid condition, which causes him to gain weight in between fights. In the off season, he gains weight really easily, and I was thinking, that's been going on for years. What's he talking about? Thyroid condition? That's him stuffing his face. That's not a medical condition. That's Ah, la, 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 la.
I love Rampage. He was just on Ariel's show again. He's like one of my favorite people to see on that show because he's always messing around with Ariel. And they were talking about how Ariel screwed up his relationship with like his perfect girlfriend and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, 'cause he said he didn't love her. Well, he said he wasn't in love.
So you guys can definitely go check that out. But you know, after the fight, he was kind of calling out Tito Ortiz. And
Right.
I'm not really sure about that. I mean, are they friends? They, you know, it's kind of like a. Oh, what do you think about it, Ted? I don't really want to see that fight, and I don't think a lot of people do. But yet, big names.
Right. I mean, Rampage wants the money fights. He wants the big name fights. He's not gonna challenge for the title, whether it's the heavyweight title or the light heavyweight title. He's not. He's just not at that level anymore. So he can just he can do big name fights, you know. So yeah, Tito, Matt Mitrione, or Fedor. Those are the names I've heard, you know, that of the guys that he wants to fight. I'd be happy with any of those, really. Mitrione looks pretty good, although he did get knocked down in his fight. He then came back with a knockout. So Mitrione looked good, and Rampage was at 225 for the fight with Ishii. So or Ishii. I've been told it's not Ishii, even though it ends with two I's. It's not Ishii. It's just Ishii. Ishii! Marco Hunto!
All right, so to quickly wrap this up, Kato also knocks out Joe Schilling with a spitting back fist, and then Michael Chandler knocks out Patricky. That was amazing.
Right.
Michael Chandler is now once again the champ in Bellator.
Yeah, that is amazing. It's an amazing feat to be a two-time or to have two runs at champ. And I watched that knockout again today just to refresh myself, and just a textbook, beautiful poetry in motion. That knockout, absolutely textbook. And yeah, congrats to him. And you were saying that Ben Henderson might want to crack at that. I wasn't able to read anything about that. I couldn't find anything, but that would just kind of boggle the mind if that happened, because Bendo just lost in a title shot to Andrei Koreshkov at 170. So for him to just turn around and for Bellator to give him the next title shot, that would be a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I know Bellator does some screwy things, but that would just be crazy.
All right, so now I'm going to try to pull Monica Franco up on the phone. But I totally agree with you, Ted. You just lost that fight. I was actually there live. And, you know, the crowd went absolutely silent as soon as, you know, that first round was over, because the tone was kind of set. And we didn't really know what to expect. So here, I'm going to try to add in Monica. Do you see that coming up on your screen over there?
I do see that.
So let's see if we can get her in on this.
See if we can do a three-way here.
That would be cool. If not, I do.
Hello.
And there she is, Monica Franco.
What up?
What's going on, Monica?
Not much. What's going on with you guys?
Not much. Let me just
Hey, Monica.
fix this. Everyone that is tuning in, we have Monica Franco on the line. She is a fighter from down in Hawaii. Monica, you're on the air with me, Evil Eddie, and Ted Check. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. I'm Monica. Like Eddie said, I fight professionally down here in Honolulu, Hawaii. I just turned pro in August. I have a record of 1-0 and look forward to getting back in there again soon, man.
I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I definitely can't wait.
And hi, Ted.
Hey, Monica, how you doing? I can't see you, but I can hear you just fine. So yeah, it's great to meet you.
Cool.
So
Nice
Monica,
to meet you.
thank you so much for joining in with us. This is not my show. This is my weekly Wednesday show with Ted Check. And what we have planned is some fun games. We have the Dana White quote game, which I kind of gave you a rundown. But for all the new viewers out there who are just tuning into this, and we got people in the live chat room, please play along, guys. We always have a great time. We're going to be playing UFC Fighter or Dana White. We're here also with Angie Jab. So now we got 4 people in on the group. I'm going to get her in frame really quick.
Okay.
Over here. Oh, and our mascot, who's the pet rat. How have you been, though, Monica?
I've been good. I've been hanging in there. It's been kind of hot down here lately, actually. Like hot and humid. Yeah. And then we're. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. You're fine. But
Hey,
for
Monica,
those of you
what-
guys who don't know who Monica is, you guys can check her out on my podcast on iTunes and Podbean. Just type in Pure Evil MMA. Ted, did you have something to say?
I was just going to ask Monica, what's hot for Hawaii? I mean, because
Oh, yeah.
we've been having some pretty high temperatures around the United
That's
States.
true. That's true. Actually, somebody said that California is like 105, so I guess I kind of complain. I guess down here it's been like 90s,
That's
Oh, I
90s,
mean,
I'd
that's
say,
still
but
hot.
80s, 90s, but nothing like super crazy.
All right, so basically, I think it's hot everywhere in the world right now except maybe
Yeah.
Alaska. But,
Yeah.
I know Pat was saying that it was like a scorcher. My boss Max from California, he was saying it was really hot. But I know that you're on a time schedule, Monica, so we're gonna jump right in the game for you. I know that you have like an appointment after this, so thank you so much for joining us. This is gonna be really fun. Basically, Angie Jabs is gonna be giving everybody a quote, and we gotta guess whether or not it is a UFC fighter or Dana White. We're gonna start off with the very first question. And if you guys are in the chat room, I know you are, you can play along now. So the very first question, is this Dana White or a UFC fighter? It's right there, babe. So the very first question is,
Never know yourself until the chips are down. True strength is not measured when you're at your strongest, but when you're at your weakest. You want me to say it one more time?
one more time, what was the quote? See, that's your level right there.
Never know yourself until the chips are down. True strength is not measured at your weakest.
Was that Dana White or a UFC fighter? I'm going to let Monica go first. Monica, what do you think? Was that Dana White or a UFC fighter?
I wouldn't try to say Dana. I say Dana White on this one.
I'm
Don't know
gonna agree. I'm gonna say Dana White. What about you, Ted? One more time. What was the quote, just in case Ted didn't hear it?
Never know yourself until the chips are down. True strength is not measured when you're at your strongest, but when you're at your weakest.
True strength is measured when
Yeah.
you're at your strongest, not your weakest, or vice versa.
When you're
That
at your
sounds like
weakest,
something
not
Dana
at your
White-
strong.
Was
I'm going to
that
go with Dana White.
Dana White? And the correct answer is
Sean Evans.
Ah!
Rashad Evans.
Come on.
So we were all wrong. So that's 0-3.
Okay.
Sammy, it is not Dana. Even the chat room is guessing Dana White.
Huh.
Okay.
So question number 2, is this Dana White or a UFC fighter?
Quote is, when you lose, say little, when you say less. Quote one more time. When you lose, say little, when you win, say less. Was that Dana White or a UFC?
Ted, you go first on this one. Ted.
Go with Dana White again.
One more time. He says he's gonna say that's Dana White. Monica, what do you think?
I'm gonna go UFC fighter here in this one.
And one more time for the chat.
Can you hear me?
Ooh.
When you
Okay,
lose,
go ahead.
say little. When you win,
Yeah.
say less.
When you lose, say little. When you win, say less. Was that Dana White or a
Thanks
UFC
for my-
fighter? You say Dana White?
So I think I'm going with Ted on this one. I changed my mind. Dana White.
Pat says UFC fighter. I'm gonna say UFC fighter. The correct answer is
UFC fighter Matt Hughes.
Matt Hughes is the right answer. So congratulations, Pat.
These are
Sammy
tough, man.
also guessed it as well.
These are pretty tough, yeah. But they try to do.
You can thank Angie Jabs for these ones. All right, so to round
Thank
up the
you,
score really
Angie.
quick, I have one. The chat room has one. And what do you guys have? Ted, you
Oh, I'm 0-2, man.
0-2. Monica guessed along with you. She's 0-2 as well. So very quickly, you guys can check up because me and the chat room only have one. So the very next question or the quote, we got to guess whether this is a UFC fighter or if this is Dana White. Monica, I'm gonna have you guess first, then me, and then Ted, and then vice versa. So the quote is,
Is You can be a hater or you can just appreciate the gifts of certain people. One more time, that was you can be a hater or you can just appreciate the gifts of certain people.
Hmm.
So was that UFC fighter or Dana White?
Can I get a lifeline? Nah, just kidding.
Totally add that in.
Just
Like a
kidding. Just
50-50.
kidding.
You add in the
Do we have a
50-50 and you'll just get the
50-50?
right answer.
Okay. I'll go. I'll go UFC fighter.
And one more time, what was the quote?
You can be a hater or you can just appreciate the gifts of certain people.
You see that? Has to go above that button. I'm gonna say Dana. What about you, Ted?
Yeah, I'm going with Dana White.
He's gonna
And
say
Monica,
Dana.
what was your answer?
I went
UFC
UFC fighter, but I think I'm gonna get it wrong.
Let me see what the chat room has to say because there's a 5-second delay. Dana for sure. Minion McGregor, welcome, man. He's saying fighter. Pat is saying UFC fighter. Pat, is that your final answer? And the correct answer is
Dominic Cruz, UFC
Yes!
fighter.
Oh,
Monica got it right. Yay.
Thank you,
congratulations,
Angie.
Monica.
Okay.
What did I say? I said Dana. Ted, what did you say?
I said Dana White
So,
too.
all right. So now Monica.
I should have figured it was Cruz because he does have some people who don't appreciate him, and I did a video on that recently saying that maybe he should be on Dancing with the Stars instead of the UFC.
What? I love his footwork. Okay. We don't got time for that. Okay, what's next?
So yeah, the chat room actually got that right, and Minion McGregor actually said Cruz. So good job, Minion. So the next question is: this Dana White or UFC fighter?
All right. The next quote is Greg Jackson, sport killer. Dana White or UFC fighter? That's Greg Jackson, sport killer. Dana White or UFC? Monica's.
No, Ted.
Ted's turn. Ted, what do you?
It's Dana White.
I'm gonna say that's Dana White. How about you, Monica?
Yeah, I'll go Dana on this one.
All right, so let's give it a second for the chat room to catch up. Monica, why do you think that's Dana?
I don't know. I'm just winging it.
What about you, Ted?
I do remember him saying that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
you know.
see, I don't remember.
So everyone's saying Dana, correct?
Yes.
All right, the chat room is also saying Dana, the correct answer.
The correct answer is Dana White.
Ooh.
Now, to tally the score, I think me and Monica are tied. Ted, you're down 1, correct?
I was 0-3, so I think I'm 1-3 because we've had 4 questions, right?
Yeah, I
I'm
got
2.
2 right. Monica got 2 right, correct?
Yep.
All right, so yep, Ted, you just need 1 to tie with us, and
Yeah, I'm
Monica,
at the
you need
bottom.
1 to take the lead. So the very next quote is,
All right. The next quote is, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what country you're from. We're all human beings. Fighting is in our DNA. We get it and we like it. That
Oh,
Dana
that's-
White or UFC fighter? I'll read it off one more time. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what country you're from. We're all human beings. Fighting is in our DNA. We get it and we like it. Was that
There has to be
Dana
fighter.
White or UFC fighter? And
UFC
Monica,
fighter.
what do you think?
I gotta go with the UFC fighter.
Monica says UFC fighter. Ted, how about you?
I'm almost.
I'm gonna go with Dana White.
Probably going short round because I want to get in more work
I'm going to
today.
say that was
So,
Dana
I'll be
White.
extremely
Angie Jabs, what was the
brief.
correct answer?
The correct answer was Dana White.
Hey!
So I think there's one more question, correct? Is there 1 or 2
Oh,
more
that's
questions?
dirty, dog. Nah. How you gonna do me like that, Angie? How you gonna do me like that? Nah.
All
Just
right,
kidding.
Monica, we have 2 more questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So now I'm
What time is it there right now, Monica? You said 4?
about
4:30?
to be 5.
Oh
But
yeah,
I'm,
it's 6 of 5, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Sammy's doing pretty good down there. Let's get to the next quote. Is this Dana White or a UFC fighter?
Alright, the next quote is, "The knowledge that everything good can be taken away at any second is what makes me work so hard."
Oh, okay, that has to be a fighter. I'm not first though. I think
The
Ted.
knowledge that everything good can be taken away at any second is what makes me work so hard. You want to fight or fight?
Is it my turn?
Yeah, Ted, you can go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I had no idea. I'm going with the UFC fighter. I don't know which. I don't know who it is, but yeah, it's a UFC fighter.
I'm gonna agree. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
me
say
too.
UFC fighter. How about you, Monica?
Ditto. Ditto. I agree.
Oh, so the correct answer is.
The correct answer was Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
That was a good one for Ronda in there, huh?
That was a good one.
That was a good
That
one.
was a good one. Very well played. Well played.
Well played. Let's see what the chat room said. I'm sorry, guys, in the chat room. I didn't look at your answers.
They all had fighter.
They all have fighter. What's going
Sammy.
on, Gary Jackson? Just a quick shout out. Every week I do an update show. Check it out. I just had Gary Jackson on the show. Bantamweight for Caged Warrior Championships. Check it out. It's on my page. Subscribe below. Subscribe to Ted's show. This guy right up here. And check out Monica's podcast that she was on with me a couple weeks ago. That podcast is on iTunes and it is on Podbean as well. So, very last question.
Gary,
Okay.
What's going on, Gary? Very last question. Is this Dana White or a UFC fighter?
I'm 3-3 now.
alright, the
Okay.
last quote is, "Alexander Gustafsson was never my friend." Last quote, Alexander Gustafsson, never my friend. Was that a fighter or was that Dana White? And I think Monica's first this time.
I'm going
actually
fighter.
first.
Sounds like something more of a fighter
I don't think
would
I've
say.
gone first yet. I'm gonna say that's definitely Dana White because Dana White's always
Ooh.
letting us know who's not his friend.
Oh, crap.
Whether they're part of the company for years, and whether they're championship material. He doesn't care who he says that to. He'll hurt anyone's feeling. He said that about a lot of people. So I'm gonna say that Dana White. It's definitely Dana White. How about you, Monica?
Okay, then I'm gonna have to say Dana White.
Dana White. And what about you, Ted?
See, I remember Dana White saying that about Stitch Duran.
Yes, he did say that about
I
Stitch
was like,
Duran.
what the heck is that thing on Angie's head?
That's our mascot, the pet rat Peanut.
Ding, 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 ding. This thing
That's
flopping around on her
Spider.
head. All right.
We thought it was a guy at first. So she
That's
named
the
it
one.
Spider, I named it Anderson, and then we found out there's no testicles. So,
Yeah, so I remember saying that about Stitch, but I think it was a fighter. Sam?
I said Dana. Ted, you're saying fighter? Everyone in the chat room, 2 for Dana, couple for fighter. The correct answer.
Alright, the correct answer is Dana White.
Huh. Man. Hey, Eddie.
3.
Eddie, I gotta go pick up my son. He's down the street.
No problem, no problem. I'm gonna
I'll
hold
be
up the
back.
rest of the show. You can go do that. I'm gonna keep up the show. Just come right back, all right?
Keep going. All right, I'll be back, man.
All right.
Bye,
Monica,
Ted.
it looks like you won the show, and you got 2 minutes till practice. Thank you so much for showing up for the game show. I hope you had fun.
I know, thanks
Yeah, no,
Monica. It was nice
seriously.
to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Angie.
And Angie said, did you hear what she had to say?
No. Wait, what?
Well, thank
yeah.
you so much for joining us, and we're going to be doing this every week. So you also said that you could do the podcast, so let me know what dates are free for you. I'm
Yes,
definitely looking forward to
totally
upcoming
will.
fights. How have you
Okay.
been doing, though, really quick?
I've been talking with Dan. You know Dan Cox. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been
of
kind of
course.
trying to help me find some things. Other than that, it's just putting in the work wherever I can, whenever I can. Whether it's some of my former teammates that I tell to come meet up at the UFC gym, or I have a couple of really talented family members that tend to hold mitts for me, and just putting in my own conditioning and stuff. So I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years of my life, whether it's martial arts or mixed martial arts. I just it's just one of those times where I'm just putting in the work and just looking for that opportunity, man.
Well, I'm definitely excited. I
Definitely.
know that you're going to be doing very well. Everyone look out for Monica. She is a force to be reckoned with. She won her last fight by spinning back fist. And everyone can find Monica on Twitter. Just type in @Monica Franco MMA. Is that correct, Monica?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in and playing.
Bye, Russ.
You're now the reigning champ. So we're going to have you back on again soon. Have a great day, Monica. I know it's like the
and we'll
afternoon
totally
there.
we'll keep in touch too for that the show that you wanted to do. I'll keep in touch with you on
And
that.
definitely keep everyone updated on any breaking news. You have a great day, all right,
Yes.
Monica?
Thank you. You guys too.
All right,
Good
aloha.
night. Bye.
Aloha.
Bye.
All right, so
yeah.
John Bones, he's arguing about referees. What's going on, Ted? What can you tell us about this?
And we talked about this a little bit last week, Eddie, that the Nevada State Athletic Commission voted that Big John McCarthy is going to be the ref for DC versus Jones 2 at UFC 200. The new development is that we have a little bit of what John Jones said something about why he didn't want Big John McCarthy. He said, well, the energy just isn't there. You know, we don't have the right energy. And so if we don't, then I don't understand why Big John would want to ref. He should just, recuse himself from this. He should just take himself out of the situation. To me, you know what that means? That means Big John won't let me get away with what I want to get away with. He won't let me, he won't let me do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So that's how I read it. Daniel Cormier has had his troubles with he had his beef with Herb Dean, but he said that they squashed that. They squashed the beef between the two of them, but he didn't. He was against Herb Dean because he thought that in their first fight, Herb Dean let Bones clinch up too much, get him up against the cage and clinch too much especially in the 5th round. So by the way, the comments here, Gary is picking Bones and Pat's got DC.
Yep, Bones all the way, DC all the way.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've got John Jones in that one. I think it's going to be kind of a repeat of the first one. I think it's going to go all 5 rounds. I don't think he's going to be able to put DC away. DC's a tough customer, but I think he's going to dominate him.
I agree. I think this is going to go basically the same way that last fight went.
Can you hear me, Eddie?
The last fight. Can you hear me, Ted?
Yeah, there was some dead air there, but that's all right.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep, I'm good.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
You're good too.
Yeah, I mean, they announced officially that John McCarthy is going to be the ref, though, correct?
Right. No, that's right. That's done. They were not swayed by the Jones camp, and their email or whatever saying that they would. And it was almost one of these. It was like anybody but John McCarthy. That was, I think, how John Jones said, "Oh, I'll take anybody but him." And, really? Are you sure you want anybody?
They just had that media scrum.
You know what I mean? Like, are you sure you'd want?
They just had that media scrum as well.
Wow, there's a delay there.
Bones was trying to he had his shot to let everyone know exactly why he didn't want John McCarthy as his ref, and he didn't say anything about it at all. He made no argument whatsoever. And you're just gonna have to take it and just focus on the fight aspect, I guess. But I do see this fight going for Bones. I really do.
Right. I was just gonna say, how he said he would take any ref over Big John McCarthy. I don't know if he means any ref. I mean, like Steve Mazzagatti. Does he really want?
Oh God, no.
Or what about Cecil Peoples? He's another guy that routinely screws things up. Or you know what I mean? There's some bad refs out there. I don't know if he means anybody. I mean, Big John McCarthy is a respected guy. But he, as DC said, he does inject himself into the fight. He enforces the rules, and some people don't take too kindly to that. They don't appreciate that too much. John likes to likes to play things fast and loose, and he's used to getting away with things, and Big John McCarthy is not going to let him do that.
I agree. I totally agree. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. That's going to be a great card, though. UFC 200, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I was kind of talking earlier about Sage Northcutt and him coming back. We were talking about this in the Pure Evil hashtag Pure Evil MMA, and everyone's kind of giving me their opinions on this. What do you think of Sage Northcutt as a fighter? I mean, my argument was he's such a young fighter. He's a very impressive fighter. He's been doing this for a very long time. When they matched him up with Brian Barberena, that's a tough matchup. He did say he had strep throat or whatnot, but a lot of people gave him a hard time. What's your take on Sage Northcutt?
Well, I mean, his background is in traditional martial arts, right? Karate or Taekwondo.
Yep.
He seems to go more for the takedown. That's what puzzles me. It's like, well, dude, this karate thing seems to be working out for a lot of people. Machida, Wonder Boy, and some other guys. That's what he knows the best. Why is he going for the takedown so much? Why is he behaving like a wrestler? You know what I'm saying? If his bread and butter is karate, why is he trying to do the wrestling thing? He should go for what he knows the best. That's my first thing about him. The second thing is his dad is very. It seems like his dad is very
strict and in charge.
Right. I think he still lives at home for one thing, so he's still under his dad's wing, and his dad is a very is kind of a control freak apparently, and we all know how that turns out. We've seen that in sports. I mean, yeah, there are success stories where parents have helped their kids out, but more times than not, a controlling parent really, screws the kid up. So, but did you hear about today? He signed with Reebok.
Yes. I'm happy you just pointed that out. That's something I left out of the quick updates. Yes, I did see that he signed with Reebok. But to get to what you're saying, we've seen fathers in fighters' corners before. Stephen Thompson, one of them. Chris Weidman.
Yeah, that's true. His dad's involved. Yeah, to some degree.
To some
I guess
degree.
I was thinking about sports in general, like Venus and Serena Williams. Their dad was involved with their careers, and I mean,
well, you said you had Netflix, correct?
Had it.
There's a whole documentary about this, about strict parents raising their children up in sports to be like high achievers, and it's a messed up documentary. They're not enjoying it, you know what I mean? And some parents can be strict, so I guess it really matters of the parenting technique. We can't just say all parents are like that in your corner, but
no. You remember Little Hercules? Remember that?
Yes.
That Little Hercules.
His father's still in jail, isn't he? For child
abuse.
I don't
know about that. But the guy's got the dad bod now.
Oh yeah.
He's not ripped anymore, and I mean, but he seems to be doing all right. Pursuing. I'm not sure what it is, but he's doing something. So. That's
I just
cool.
saw like I saw like an Oprah's like Where Are They Now with him on it like last week or something like that. But,
you watch Oprah?
Yeah, on Oprah, like Oprah, Where Are They Now? You know what I mean? But
okay.
But,
all right.
What was I just saying? Yeah, the Sage Northcutt thing. A lot of the talk was, because Sage was doing this since he was so young, was there child abuse there? And it doesn't really seem that way. But his father is a little strict. And he kind of does seem sheltered, but he's a very polite young man. I don't have a problem with it. He's very respectable. He's very talented. And I'm excited to see what he has to bring to the UFC. I have no complaints at all with him being in the UFC. But fighters will argue about his pay amount, how much he was getting paid. He was one of the people that Dana was kind of protecting. And, we saw him lose and everyone attacked him. But I'm excited to see what comes from him. And now he's on UFC 200.
Right, and so this guy Ramsey Nijem, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he was cut by the UFC, and he took exception to so he really doesn't have much of a leg to stand on because he lost 2 in a row, so they gave him the pink slip, but he got on Twitter and he was criticizing Sage Northcutt for getting a Reebok deal after coming off of a loss, and people then were, you know, on this guy about, oh, you're jelly, you know, you're bitter, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, you look at a guy like Sage Northcutt, and you know, if you don't like what you see, then you gotta work with your. If you look at yourself in your own career, if you're a fighter and you don't like what you see, you don't like the position that you're in, then do everything you can possibly do to improve it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And maybe that doesn't mean you want to be like Sage Northcutt, you know, but you know, do everything in your power to improve, you know, your position, you know, what you're doing in your career.
I mean, and it's a blessing. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens at UFC 200, and that whole week is going to be exciting. So we talked about that in the last show. Let's get into UFC 202. That's now headlined by McGregor versus DS2. The presser for that's going to be July 7th. Also on this card, there were so many updates this week of fight announcements for this. Rumble versus Glover is on it. Cowboy versus Rick Story, which I definitely want to talk about that matchup with you in a second. You know what? Matter of fact, let's talk about it right now. Cowboy versus Rick Story. What does that do for Cowboy's career? I mean, fighting Rick Story. Should he be fighting Rick Story, or should he have been looking for I'm not saying anything against Rick Story, so please don't use that against me. But I'm saying in the position that Cowboy's in right now, is Rick Story a good fight for him?
I would say yes. Story is very respectable. I mean, you know, won some, lost some, but won more than he's lost. He's a tough guy. I mean, he's super aggressive. He's got a wrestling background, but he's a banger too. You know what I mean? So this is going to be no walk in the park for Cowboy Cerrone. This is going to be a tough test, and you know, another good test for him at 170 if he wants to make 170 his new home. Now, he's said, oh, I'll take anything. I'll take the first fight that comes along at 170, at 155. I'll hop back and forth, which I don't really advise to. I wouldn't really advise anyone to do that, because, you know, you probably want to pick one weight class and go with it so that you can climb the ladder higher.
Well, now with all the testing, we're seeing a lot of changes now with the testing.
Right. Yeah, and with weigh-ins, they're gonna start to weigh in earlier and stuff like that. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, Cowboy just likes to keep himself busy. Plus, he's got that lifestyle where he's just blowing through his money, so he needs to stay busy. But no, I think this is definitely an exciting fight and a legit fight for both of these guys.
Also, Neil Magny versus Dong Hong Kim in the works. That's also rumored to be one of the fights on this card. Neil Magny coming off that huge win against Hector Lombard when he was losing in the first round. You know, and he beat Kelvin Gastelum on short notice as well. I'm very excited for this, and I really hope that they can make this happen. Nola versus Mitsugaki is going to be on this card. That's
I didn't hear about that one.
I'm pretty positive that they just announced Cody Nola versus Mitsugaki.
Okay, all right. News to me, but good news.
If I'm wrong, totally call me out for this. If I'm wrong on that, I'm pretty sure it was UFC 202.
Oh, I'm going to call you out, man.
It might be UFC 203, but I'm pretty positive it's on UFC 202. But if I'm wrong, definitely call me out. So Rumble versus Glover on this card. How about that?
Right. That's a bang fest right there.
And then Damian Maia versus Carlos Condit.
Yeah, the return of the natural born killer.
So let's get into this.
I mean,
he said that he was going to retire after the Robbie Lawler. I am so excited to hear that he's coming back now.
Yeah, that is very exciting news. One of the most exciting fighters in combat sports in the UFC, and you know, one of the most beloved, one of the most respected, Carlos Condit, and Damian Maia. I mean, this is going to be a great fight because Damian Maia thinks that he is very close to a title shot, but the UFC is telling him, hey, that that road leads through Carlos Condit. You've got to get through this guy, and Carlos Condit is not a gatekeeper. Okay, we're talking about a guy who has fought for the title twice already, right? GSP, he fought GSP, and he fought Lawler. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's still at the top of his game. He's only 32 years old. So no slouch, no gatekeeper right there. So this is, but it's the return fight for Carlos Condit. So that's the challenge there. Will there be any ring rust, any octagon rust?
Well, he fought in January 2nd against Robbie Lawler. And this is one of the segments that we're going to start doing, guys. We're going to be doing every week top 5. We're going to ask you what, a question like,
right.
What do you guys want to see our top 5 of the week to be? Whether it's top 5 fights of the year, top 5 title contenders, top 5 most underrated, undermined fighters. It's up to you. So every week we're going to be doing this. We'll start this next week. Also, we're going to be doing weird news of the week. I know, Ted, you were talking about coming up with a unique name for this. I like that idea. But if any of you guys have any segment ideas at all, let us know. But I like that one. Do you have any weird news of the week that we can end the show with after this?
I do. I mean, you want me to talk about it right now?
Not yet. We'll save that for last to sign out.
I'll save it.
All right. So UFC 202, Condit versus Maia. Maia is coming off a huge win at that fight down in Brazil against Matt Brown, who was flicking everyone off. He had a rough weekend that weekend, Matt Brown. But yeah, Damian Maia versus Carlos Condit. This fight's going to be August 20th at UFC 202. So Carlos Condit, is there going to be ring rust? He fought January 2nd versus Robbie Lawler. That's a great question. I'm just happy that he's coming back for this fight.
Yeah, and here's some interesting things about this. I was reading 202 is, how they almost always have title fights in the main event for the numbered events, UFC 200, 201. This is 202, no title at stake here. But
yeah, one of the biggest.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's Diaz versus McGregor too. So, they're fighting for bragging rights, and I mean it's just such a huge fight that it takes the place of a 5-round title fight. But that's a unique thing about it is that there's no title fight in the main event. No title fight anywhere to be found on the card, but also it's so stacked. And we've gone over it. It's just at least on paper, we can't say whether it's going to be exciting or not. It sure looks like it's going to be, it just has the makings of a great card. And
I don't mean to interrupt you right here, Ted, but Sammy just brought up a great point. I don't know if you have the chat room open right now in front of you, but he says, I know rankings really don't mean much, but on UFC.com, Story is ranked 9th, and Cowboy is ranked 14th in the welterweight division. So there you go. I guess that is a great matchup in that case.
Well, sure, because or at least for Cowboy. Because if he knocked off the number 9 guy, and that doesn't necessarily mean that he would take Story's place at number 9, but he would definitely move up in the rankings if he were to beat Story. And because when you think about it, Cowboy only has 2 fights in the welterweight division. They're both wins, but he's only if you want to talk about him strictly in welterweight, he only has 2 fights in welterweight. So it makes sense that so he's in the top 15. That's pretty darn good. So it's time to climb the ladder, and hopefully he kind of realizes that, hey, maybe I should just stick with welterweight. You know what I mean? Things are going well. I'm going to stick with welterweight.
Yeah,
but I could see him
right now in welterweight.
What's that?
He's 2-0 right now, especially in that division right now. So.
Right. So if I were him, I would, but I'm not. I would stick. I would stick with welterweight. But I could see him getting pulled into 55. If a 55 fight comes up before another welterweight fight comes up, I could see him going with that. But there's problems there. What if he gets injured? Yada yada yada.
Well, I'm totally excited to see Cowboy. We're all excited. And I know Ann is like the biggest Cowboy fan ever. I was so happy when he had that amazing win last week. He looked very impressive. Better than ever, maybe.
Who's Ann?
It's we have absolutely been spoiled with so many great matchups coming. I'm looking forward to so many of them. So I guess that's wrapping up UFC 202. Are we missing anything on UFC 202 that McGregor Diaz? We can't go on without talking about this for a second.
Right.
Conor McGregor in his very first fight with Diaz was kind of overconfident, and I'm taking that right out of the mouth of Angie Jabs. He kind of seemed overconfident. He wasn't. His movements weren't on like we would usually see, where he kind of lulls you to sleep. He wasn't using many kicks. We know that Diaz is always open to kicks. He doesn't usually look for that. Conor did land a lot of his punches, however, gassed out quick. And in that second round, it was a complete change. What are your thoughts on this matchup in this rematch?
Well, let's see. There was this rumor that Conor got rid of Ido Portal, his
movement coach. Yep.
Right, but I mean, I just saw something recently that no, he's still with him. He's still with Portal. But he also hired I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yes.
I think it's Dylan Dennis or Dylan Danois or something like that.
I mean, we're not saying he's better than Gracie, but still, he's perfect.
No, he's a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he says that, and you got to take it for what it's worth, but he's saying Conor looks very good on the ground. Underrated ground game, I guess you could kind of interpret that. But I mean, look what happened in the heat of battle. Conor went into this wrestling panic mode, going for that takedown, and we all know how well that turned out. But he says he is training specifically for Nate Diaz. He's tailor-made his training camp specifically to beat Nate Diaz. The other thing that came up earlier this week, was that he was saying that the UFC is still trying to make a lot of what he considers, exorbitant, or they're still trying to make all these media demands on him. Too much. It's too much for him. They're pulling him this way, they're pulling him that way, and he just wants to hunker down and train. He just wants to isolate it. I believe he used that word. I want to isolate myself and train, and it's like fighters do that. Like, remember, you brought up Tito Ortiz. He used to go to a training camp in Big Bear, California, I think it is. He would leave Huntington Beach, and he would go to Big Bear, and he would isolate himself, and he would bring all his training partners, and he would just train. That's what Conor McGregor wants to do. But then the UFC's like, no, you got to do this, you got to do this interview, and you got to do that, film that commercial, and blah 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 blah.
Well, my argument here is, now, we all know that people are going to be tuning in for Conor McGregor. He's one of the biggest stars UFC has to offer. But number two, now with the way technology is, why can't he just do promotions like this, like me and you are doing? Right in the comfort of your own home, right through Skype. We see him do it all the time. Why spend that much money to take planes, hours out of, training, to go from Dublin to Las Vegas, was it like 13-hour trip or something like that? And all you have to do is press dial on your Skype, and there you are. It's as simple as that. I think McGregor's done enough promotions, and we're all looking forward to this fight.
Yeah. I can see it both ways, I mean, they just filmed this Bud Light commercial. Have you seen it? It just came out.
That competition, him and Ronda.
Right. So maybe they needed to have him in that studio. They needed him to be standing there. But didn't he look like he was about 6 inches taller than her, the way that they filmed it, too? He was, like, looming over her.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's what, 5'9", and she's, like, 5'7".
There's a big argument whether Conor's 5'9" or 5'10", but he's 5'9".
All right. But, yeah, the way they filmed it, though, he looks like he's a good, half a head taller than her. But anyway, so maybe they needed him in the studio for that. I mean, like, I get some of that, some of the media obligations. I get. I can see both sides of it easily. I mean, you've gotta hype the fight. You've gotta hype it. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, hey, can I bring up one thing, Eddie?
Definitely.
Speaking of UFC 200, did you happen to see that Adult Swim commercial that they filmed?
No, but I need to see it now.
You gotta see. It's got Hank Hill.
Oh,
And
no way.
yes, it's got Hank Hill. Hank Hill is in the film the commercial about UFC 200. That's the best I can do on the fly. But anyway, yeah, he's in it, and some other guy. I forget the guy's name. It's
What, is it
hilarious.
like a cartoon?
It's a cartoon. It's an Adult Swim cartoon with Hank Hill and some other dude, and they're talking about DC and John Jones.
No way.
Yeah, you got to see it.
I totally got to see that. It's on Adult Swim on Comedy Central, not Comedy Central, but Cartoon Network, or right?
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, if you just Google it, you're gonna find it. It's all over,
I
the
don't know how
message
I
boards
haven't
and
even
everything.
seen that yet, but I'm definitely gonna look.
I think it just came out, and it was a Dana White thing. Dana White commissioned it.
We have a question, Ted.
Yeah.
Or first, Sammy's saying Mike Judge and the guy.
Oh, so you mean what Sam said there?
Yep. But he has one question, and right after we answer this question, we're gonna get into the weird and wacky news of MMA. But and then we'll wrap the show up from there. Sammy's saying Condit versus Maya on 202. Do you think the winner could leapfrog Wonderboy for the title shot against the winner of Lawler versus Condit? I still believe Wonderboy should get the next title shot. What do you guys think? What do you think, Ted? Did you hear what I said?
You were you were cutting out there, Eddie.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Sammy from the chat room is saying.
I can see it. I can see what he's asking.
Okay.
I don't think that's. I mean, it's the UFC. Anything can happen. They leapfrog people. The ratings. The rankings. The rankings don't mean crap in the UFC. Remember in Bellator, it used to mean something. You go through the tournament and you're the number one contender. That means you're definitely going to get the next title shot. In the UFC, being number one means just about nothing. It doesn't mean you're going to get the next title shot. So it could happen, especially if it's an amazing fight. Like if Maya submits Condit in the first round, or if Condit knocks Maya out. But I do say what you wrote there. Wonderboy has to be next. I mean, I truly believe that yes, Wonderboy should get the next title shot. I mean, get it. I mean,
but like you said, it's the UFC. It's the UFC.
What's that?
Anything can, like you just said, it's the UFC. Anything can happen.
Right. I mean, let's take middleweight. You got Jacare saying, "I'm the number one contender. I deserve the title shot." It's like, well, yeah, you do, but he's got a boring personality, and Hendo is an old dude who just knocked the crap out of what the hell's the guy's name there? Help me out.
Hector Lombard.
Hector Lombard. Ole! So he just knocked that guy out, and plus he's already got heat with Bisping. So to me, that's the money fight. That's the fight you should sign.
I agree.
Jacare can wait. Jacare can wait, but Wonderboy has earned it, and he deserves it, and everything is right with that.
He deserved it in fashion too. Beating Rory McDonald. I know a lot of people were booing, and I don't understand that. Maybe it was because it was in Ontario, and they're not. Maybe it was the first time watching the UFC out there. I don't know. But that was a great fight in my opinion. We saw him take out Johnny Hendricks. Like, we've never seen Johnny Hendricks be taken out before in the first round.
Right.
Come on, he totally deserves this fight, guys. How can you take this away? And I hope it's against Lawler. I really do. I hope, and we talked about this last week. I hope Lawler wins the fight, and I hope that's the fight we want to see. I wish we can just jump over to see that fight. And
don't tell Tyron Woodley that, though.
I know, because once again, Tyron Woodley also deserves it, in my opinion.
Well, he's the chosen one, so of course.
He's the chosen one. All right, so let's get right into it, guys. Ted.
Yes.
Let everyone know what we're doing here before someone's like, "What are they talking about?" We're gonna be doing every week weird and wacky news going on in the world of MMA. If you guys have any suggestions for next week's, definitely send it to me and Ted our way. Ted brought this up to me. I thought this was a great idea. Ted, what's the weird and wacky news this week in MMA?
Craziest thing I've heard. Yeah, MMA WTF. We can call it that.
Okay, I like that.
That can be the working title unless we figure out something better, and people can throw out suggestions as far as what we want to name this segment. But the thing that made me go WTF was, okay, so these two guys have a beef in the Philippines, and I'm not even sure if they're. I don't know if they have a background in fighting per se, but somehow a fight was sanctioned between the two of these guys. I don't even know what the beef was over. You know what? It doesn't even matter. Here's the thing. When they get to the weigh-in, and you know how fighters, we've seen this a million times. Fighters get to the weigh-ins, they weigh in immediately. They're going for their Gatorade or their Pedialyte or whatever it is that they're drinking. They're putting water or electrolytes back in their system. This guy's got a bottle, except it's a spray bottle, and in the bottle isn't just Gatorade or whatever, it's urine.
Oh, God.
And he's like, he sprays his opponent. WTF? What the?
WTF,
What gives
man?
it that? Yeah, I just ridiculous.
What happened after
Absolutely
that, though?
ridiculous.
After he got sprayed, did he know he was getting sprayed with piss? Did he snap or what?
I mean, they were separated, and you know, like the guy, you know, whoever was, you know, like Dana White does. Dana White gets in the middle of the fighters.
Yeah, yep.
So they got pulled apart. The guy squeezed off a couple of, you know, sprays first, but somehow it was determined that it was piss. I don't know how. I don't know if the guy that got it was like, you know, or I don't know how they figured it out. It was yellow. I know it was yellow.
But like another interesting part about the story is that you're saying that this wasn't a real fight. That this was two people from a smaller town that had beef with one another. Is that correct?
I'm not 100% clear on the backgrounds. I mean, they may have been amateur fighters, or they were kind of like celebrity type dudes. I'm not really sure.
Because
They may have been.
I was about to say, I think this is a great idea. I saw a post about this not too long ago about there is a country out there that if you have a beef every year, it's kind of like a purge. Every year, if you have a beef with somebody, you can you can fight them. They have fist fights. I think it's somewhere in like Africa, like a smaller village. I'll look it up. But Angie Jabs is the one who showed me this. They literally go out in the middle of the street and they duke it out with one another, and afterwards they let it go. After that point,
drink.
I think if it's looked after, no one's getting hurt or killed. I think that's a great idea, and this is a great way to start off our weird and wacky news, Ted. That was a good one to find.
Yeah, that thing that you're talking about. I mean, it's like the early days of the UFC. I mean, you could be fighting a guy that outweighs you by 80 pounds, you know, or
and then knock his tooth out. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, marking his territory. Yes, sir. That's what we do.
Oh yeah, that's great. I didn't see that in the chat.
Yeah. So yeah, let's keep them coming. I mean, there's crazy stuff going on in MMA all the time. You know, another one. This just came to me, Eddie. Another thing we might want to do on occasion when it comes up is something else I like to call MMA justice. So in other words, we've seen this happen before. A couple of guys walk into like a convenience store or something thinking they're going to rob the place. And it just so happens that the clerk sitting behind the desk is an MMA fighter. You know, something like that. So it's MMA justice. I remember Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall was out having dinner with his buddies, and some a-hole decides he's going to come into the restaurant and try to make trouble. Ryan Hall drags him outside, and he did. I think he got him with a rear naked choke or something. I mean, he submitted the guy. He totally, you know, he put the guy to sleep, basically, or held him down until he detained the guy. I think until the cops got there or whatever. But you know, MMA justice. I love that.
You remember his debut fight with the UFC against Artem Lobov? The night that McGregor fought, when he literally had the leg lock on him, and he was just behind him, and he was like, You know,
I have to rewatch that.
he won the last season Ultimate Fighter, and yet he hasn't made his debut, and a lot of the fighters on that season have already fought already. I'm looking forward to see what he's doing. I actually talked with Billy Q from that season, and he was actually training with them this week. So I'm excited to see what Ryan Hall is going to be doing next. And I think this is a great segment to do every week. If you guys have any segment ideas, just find us on Twitter. Ted's at TedCheck, TEDCZECH. And I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, ProWrestling30.com. You can find me on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday night. Me and Ted have been setting up great shows, great segments for everyone. Hope that everyone had fun tonight. Next week, it's going to be 10 times better. We're going to be doing more segments. We're going to be moving a little faster, but I had a great time tonight. Considering we were a little late, I have to apologize, but we got everything covered, I believe, Ted. Is there anything that we left out tonight?
No, I think we did it, Eddie, and you know, then we're just. I like this whole thing. I mean, like, we're generating ideas as we're talking.
Yes.
This is really something. I think we're onto something here. You know, not to toot our own horn or anything like that, but you know, I think we got something good here, and
Yep.
I appreciate everybody that was on tonight on the chat.
Yep.
And you know, hopefully we'll just have more people. It'll just start to expand. If everybody there could tell everybody that they know about it, then you know, we can start to build our audience.
This show is for you guys. This show, if you guys have any ideas, suggestions, you know, this is for us all to hang out and talk MMA, because, you know, sometimes it stinks talking online with people because you don't know what to expect. There's some people out there that really don't know what they're talking about, and then they can get personal with you. And here we just meet up and you know, we just have fun. So thank you so much for joining us in the chat room tonight, like Ted just said. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday at 10 p.m. sharp. We're going to try to get more fighters on. You know, when I ask fighters to come on, they get worried sometimes, like, oh, God, another interview. But for this show, it's you want to come on and do some MMA trivia. It's different, you know? So
Let's play a game.
Thank you very much, Monica Franco, for coming on tonight. You saved us. You really did. That was a lot of fun. Everyone played along in the chat room. Next week, there will be twice as many people in the chat room. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I had a great time. If we missed anything, let us know. We'll make sure to cover it in our show. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, ProWrestling30.com. You can check my articles out on ProWrestling30.com. The podcast is now on iTunes. That guy right here is Ted Check. You all know him. I don't need to introduce him. But Ted, where can everyone find you if they haven't seen you before?
Yeah, here on YouTube, just my name, TEDCZECH, like the Czech Republic. Try to do as many videos as I can, covering MMA backwards and forwards, up and down, left and right. So yeah, just check me out, and you know, any questions anybody has or any comments, criticisms, just throw them in. Even you haters, I love you. I love the haters. So
did you see
Yeah.
Did you see one of the comments on the video of the Dana White quote game that we did? Somebody was like, "That dude's cheating." He was talking about me. I'm cheating. I'm cheating on quote games.
Eddie, I know, man. It takes all kinds. I'm telling. I don't. You know.
It's fun though. I'm having fun, but I don't know how I could be cheating. All right. So before we do the sign out, we pretty much just did. In case you missed it, this video is going to be uploaded back on YouTube if you tuned in a little late. We covered tonight Ryan Jimmo passing away. They found the people that hit him. That was the good news at the beginning of the show that Ted had for everybody, to go on top of the sad news. Rest in peace, Ryan Jimmo. You'll be definitely missed. We talked about BJ Penn. We talked about GSP. We gave a rundown on the Bellator. We did the Dana White quote game with Monica Franco. We broke down UFC 202, John Bones. I had a great night. Make sure you guys subscribe down below every Wednesday night. I'm out. Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. That's Ted Check. Ted, do you want to give a shout out to anybody you follow? Any shout outs before we sign out?
I appreciate all of our friends and followers. Really appreciate them contributing tonight. It was great. I think this is a great idea. You know, making it interactive. I think we've got something here, Eddie. So we got to keep it going. Despite the internet problems, despite me having to go pick up my son, we got through it, and so we just got to keep going. We just got to keep it going, man.
Every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Make sure you guys tune in. I made sure to start the live stream at 10 p.m. sharp. So thank you guys for sitting in the waiting. Thank you for asking questions tonight. Next week we'll have a lot of fun. If we missed anything, once again, make sure to find us. I'm out, guys. Ted, have a great night, boss.
You too, Eddie. We'll see you later, everybody.